Give me a bottle of anything and a glazed donut. To go.
Richard Hoagland is a disinformation agent. Former CBS/NASA puppet Richard Hoagland is a disinformation agent. Why do I say this with such certainty? Glad you asked. Let's take a hard look at what Richard Hoagland is saying and what message he is trying to convey, really. First, Hoagland's moon work. Hoagland claims there are glass structures on the moon, and NASA is covering them up. He claims these structures are alien, perhaps, in design and creation. He tells those who can prove the moon landings were hoaxes they are smart but wrong. That these photos showing a front screen projection when you turn up the contrast in Photoshop, which, by the way, Jay Widener and others discovered first, the appearance of these Scotchlight screens, as they're called, is actually glass structures on the moon. Now, Hoagland has known and been friends with Jay Widener for years, so I think Hoagland had inside information and of Widener's work and got ahead of it. Hoagland also says no stars can be seen on the moon because there is no atmosphere, but that is absolutely unequivocally false, and it is his opinion alone. Of course, which is more likely, glass structures on the moon or a front screen projection screen on Earth because the moon landings were faked? What's odd is Hoagland actually admits that the photos look doctored in some cases, but that, yes, maybe one or two of them are faked on Earth, but not the whole mission. Remember, Hoagland is talking to conspiracy theorists, so he needs to keep it real enough that they will believe his bullshit. So he agrees on the common sense view, not only by conspiracy theorists, but some mainstreamers, that yes, some of the photos look doctored from NASA. And they probably were altered, airbrushed, etc. But in fact, NASA denies this outright. And says they never did anything to alter the photos. So this directly contradicts that argument that Hoagland presents. Nevertheless, Hoagland runs with this, then uses it of all things to prove NASA actually went to the moon. He supports NASA and contradicts NASA in one sentence. It's a scam. He is scamming you. He is a disinformation agent for NASA to get conspiracy theorists from convincing rational people with facts and logic that the moon landings were in fact faked. So Hoagland rolls out with his glass structures, of course. He also disinforms about Mars, his ancient ruins on Mars shit, or the nonsense even now Buzz Aldrin uses about Mars and ruins and the moons on Mars having, quote, weird stuff on them. All of it is disinformation from the real story that the moon landings were faked. NASA and the military-industrial complex faked the moon landings. Before Bush left office, he said publicly that man would be on the moon by 2015. That was said by him to distract from the empire wars that America is currently involved in. This is what was done by Richard Nixon in 1969 to 1972. Of course, in part as a distraction from Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. Empirical wars as well as, let's face it, genocide. Then, Barack Obama and the military-industrial complex that he represents decide to drop the moon program because, quote, as Obama himself said, been there, done that. But that, of course, isn't enough propaganda. So it was decided to proceed past the moon to Mars. You set the Mythbusters and Buzz Aldrin and many others to keep the propaganda flowing with the official been there, done that slogan, used by all to convince you, the nerds, to ignore the moon for Mars. And you push it heavy. Ruins on Mars, a manned mission to Mars, etc. And that sounds great, except it's all fantasy. And it's all public relations to keep you from the real truth. We never actually landed men or women on the moon. In the final analysis, what is Richard Hoagland, the Mythbusters, and all these other groups really saying to us? That aliens, glass structures on the moon, all that bullshit that Hoagland pushes. What is his underlying message? That we, the United States, and NASA, and the military-industrial complex that runs it, went to the moon. That's it. He's not denying the moon landings happened. He's just saying that aliens built glass structures there. It's fucking ridiculous.